Borderlands 1. Man, who knew this game would fucking skyrocket? Have so many sequels, and I guess prequel now too. Borderlands is known for being an RPG, FPS thingy that blessed the world of gaming. When it comes to chill games, this is definitely it. Just fucking order pizza, get your heated blanket, and just enjoy the world of Pandora with its fantastic atmospheric music, cool area design, and the guns. All the fucking guns. I think there's like 1.3 trillion guns in the game? Good luck finding them all. Even though I like the area design, I think it needs more color than all these shades of brown, but regardless of its color palette, it's still pretty enough to make this list. Isn't that nice?
Bahamut Lagoon. This is a bit of a strange RPG for Square Enix to make, but is still a fantastic game, with gameplay that blends traditional RPG moments with strategy RPG moments. Everything feels unique and fresh. You fight as a band of rebels, and while most of the characters are pretty memorable, you also get to play as dragons. Each of the main characters has their own dragon, and a very unique part of this game is how the dragons level up. You can feed them, and they sometimes evolve, not unlike Pokemon, leaving endless possibilities for which dragons you can use. Throw in a pretty great story, some plot twists that made some people, like Jeremy and myself, pretty angry with some of the characters, and some not too shabby music, and you have got yourself a top-notch game. You know that a game is great when you actually show emotion towards the characters.
The year is 2006. A new Pokemon game was announced and I knew I had to get it. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. When I first played this game, it obviously came as a huge surprise being a Pokemon game that completely went off the beaten path of the Pokemon mechanics, but I loved it. You enter the Pokemon world by first answering a survey to see what Pokemon best suits your style. I thought this was really cool because it portrayed your character as actually being you. But now it's time for the gameplay. You have your level up system that makes your Pokemon learn new moves, but the twist is you actually can't evolve until you've beaten the game. Instead, you could come across Pokemon from different dungeons, and they sometimes would join you on your journey, if you were lucky enough. Having these partners could sometimes really save your butt in these dungeons. On the topic of dungeons, that's your objective in this game, is to go through dungeons, picking up rare items, finding very powerful Pokemon, or trying to save Pokemon. You could accept Pokemon's cries by helping them in a dungeon, and in doing so, your rescue team rank would go up. Each time your rank goes up, you can accept much harder missions and go to places no Pokemon has went before. All these great mechanics wrapped up in a very sad but fulfilling storyline made me want this series to continue, because I felt like, at the time, there was so much more to do in this game than the traditional games. It really felt like the challenge was worth it, such as going down 100 floors just to get the mighty Kyogre to join your party. This game is great, and if you guys have played the new Super Mystery Dungeon game out for the 3DS, you guys should definitely check out where it all started.
Jak and Daxter. It's a game from the very popular Naughty Dog Studios. When I bring up Naughty Dog, I'm sure this style is not the first thing that comes to mind. Jak and Daxter is a platformer collectathon game, and while I know I've proven on our channel I kinda lack in platformer ability, this game, once upon a time, actually had me pretty good at them. It's a really fun game with pretty cool environments that are unique to its own world. Not something you see too often from Naughty Dog nowadays. Well, this game had some sequels. I'd say that the other games are less of what I wanted from the series, compared to the first one at least. One of the main reasons I owned a PS2 is just so I could play this game, honestly. It has a very nice balance and relaxing tone in tense situations. While some characters would have simple tasks to ask of you, others would have darker backstories, really bringing to life these characters and their plight. Also, there's a scary fish monster in here. Your heart would start beating faster and it got scary and I didn't like it! Damn! That shit was terrifying. I would recommend this game to anyone looking for a good platformer, by the way. You should check it out.
Hey, this is Connor BS here to talk about Street Fighter. Released in 1987 from Capcom for the arcades, this was not the first of the fighting games, but it introduced a concept in fighting games called special attacks. For some, that means they were introduced to the infinite Hadouken that frustrates new players to no end. I like to think of it more as a rite of passage than anything else at this point. There's nothing like watching a now ex-friend's face get beat red as you comfortably sit at the side of the arena screaming Hadouken and winning the round perfectly. But maybe that's just me. This game's success and tight fighting paved the way for the creation of Street Fighter II, the best-selling game of the series. Also, with the existence of Street Fighter 1 and 2, there was a rise of tournaments involved within this genre, leading us to the professional Street Fighter tournaments. And if you haven't watched a professional match of Street Fighter, or any kind of tournament within this genre, I would definitely recommend checking it out. With everything that is said and done, this game deserves to be on the list, as it was able to do what most games are unable to do in real life, and that is to severely affect the lives of the players who played it. Without this game, how would I be able to get rid of distractions, like friends, so I could focus my time on gaming? So let's all tip our hat off to Street Fighter for helping us make time for gaming, and get rid of those pesky things called friends. Thanks, Street Fighter! Alright!
Pokémon Platinum is one of my favorite games from the Pokemon franchise. Coming in as the first Pokemon titles for the Nintendo DS, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl had high expectations from gamers around the world. Oh man, did these games deliver! They introduced us into the world of Sinnoh. Sinnoh had many more things to do than the previous entries since it was on DS. And when Pokemon Platinum was released, it expanded even more. One of the coolest things from Pokemon games ever was chasing Giratina through his own Shadow World. Overall, this title had some of the best puzzles and some of the best legendary Pokemon ever. Pokemon Platinum gave fans a chance to catch Giratina, Palkia, Dialga, Cresselia, Darkrai, and Arceus. The Pokemon said to have created the universe. Yo God, I choose you! The amount of things to do in this game is awesome, and if you're a fan of the Pokemon series, I'm sure you already know. Something this game does suffer from is the same old obvious Pokemon formula: starting town, meet rival, beat gym, meet villains, etc. That being said, I really don't think it should take away what is an amazing game from an outstanding series. Pokemon Platinum just delivers.
The Walking Dead series by Telltale is a game that allowed players to choose their own path and go on their own personal adventure, but at the same time dealing with relationships with other survivors and living in a post-apocalyptic world. I personally enjoyed this game because your story solely ran on your choices, and the game doesn't follow the TV series, so you didn't have to watch the show to know what was going on. With Telltale adding more episodes to play, this game continues to be a popular hit.
Terraria. What do you get when you combine Minecraft with an NES side-scrolling classic? Probably a mess of plastic and circuitry. But a byproduct would definitely be Terraria. When it comes to creativity games, Terraria isn't unique in a way. It handles its creativity aspect. The game focuses more on action than anything else. Fighting bosses, killing unique enemies, clearing out dungeons and caves and stuff like that, just to name a few. But even if you're mining in a cave and fighting off spiders for an hour, you'd come back and just spend absorbent amount of time just improving your base, with all the stuff that you can find underground. You see, Terraria has these little nooks and crannies underground that usually include a chest with some potions, a random unique weapon, usually a fucking boomerang. But among the chest, with its fucking boomerang, is some furniture, a chandelier, maybe a banner, you know? Cool stuff. Stuff that you can put in your house. So you go home and you're like, yeah, tell me my place looked like fucking badass and totally cool. And then you realize your place is just a wooden shack with a stone floor, and part of the wall is stone as well because you kind of ran out of blocks and you just used what you had. And you're like, I should probably improve. So the next thing you know, you got a castle going on, you got like fucking pillars and stuff with gargoyle statues and all the stuff you find underground. And that pretty much sums up Terraria. It's making your base bigger so you can store all your trophies and conversation pieces. If you prefer Minecraft over this, that's up to you, but I think it makes the cut. And this list.
I debated including this game on my list because honestly, I hate it. I hate Resident Evil for what it did to me. My first experience of this game was watching my uncle play it when I was 6 years old. I would stay up late to watch him play, and then when it was time for me to go to bed, I couldn't sleep. I actually hallucinated zombies come for me in my room at night. I can remember it vividly. I had nightmares for well over a month, and I would have to turn on the TV just to get back to bed. The reason I hate it is also the reason I love it now. The fact that a game can have that kind of effect on a person is amazing, and I congratulate Capcom for pulling off such a feat. All these years later, and I have conquered the game, but I still have some fear when I play it. I can't help but think that without Resident Evil, we wouldn't have modern horror games like Amnesia or Outlast.
Tekken 2, released back in 1996 for the PlayStation, is a game that's nearly as old as me and still one that I play today. I can remember playing that on the PlayStation 1 down in my living room and just thinking it was the best game that's ever been created, with the unique fighting styles of each fighter, and me sitting there getting goosebumps as I got to the boss levels and thinking that I was amazing at it. Namco really did make a fantastic game that people could enjoy at any age. And it's still a concept of gaming that is practiced today with the one-on-one fighter style games. It's just an all-out favourite. You can pick your different characters, and I know I had my favourite, which was Paul. And just, I loved his attitude and his fighting style, the intense music that came in for fight scenes. It was just an all-out winner for me.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. This game is really a blast from the past. Seriously though, when you load this game up, you are taken to New York City. April has been kidnapped. It is your job as one of the 4 turtles to save her. You can pick between all 4 turtles, including Leonardo wielding a sword, Michelangelo wielding nunchucks, Raphael wielding a sai, or Donatello wielding a stick. You are transported through time in this game, from the dinosaur age, to the pirate age, to the future. This game is a classic beat-em-up, and is generally known to be the best of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. But watch out for Shredder!
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. This was the first ever Kirby game that I played, as I didn't own a Super Nintendo and never got to play the widely known Kirby Superstar. In this game, Kirby is sliced into 4 different Kirbys by the evil Dark Meta Knight. Dark Meta Knight also shatters the Mirror World, and in order for Kirby to save the Mirror World, he must get the 8 shattered pieces of the mirror back and defeat Dark Meta Knight. You had to travel through a bunch of places in this game, from mountains to castles. The really cool thing about this game were the upgrades that could be on Kirby. You could become a wheel that travels super fast, or even a freaking rocket ship. The bosses in this game were pretty goofy, but some of them could end up being very difficult, especially when it came to the last boss. But the thing that really sold the game for me was its awesome multiplayer. If you were playing alone, you could call the other Kirbys to help you on your journey, but if you're playing with a friend, then they could accompany you on your journey, or if you didn't enjoy the story mode, then you can enjoy yourself with the fun minigames this game has to offer. From great music, to entertaining minigames, to even the multitude of secrets to be found, this game's got it all.
Catherine. One of the weirdest games on our list for sure. In this game, you play as Vincent, a young man who's in a stalemate with his current longtime girlfriend, Catherine, with a K. She wants to get married. He's not sure what he wants. Enter one lonely night at the bar. Vincent is visited by the beautiful and mysterious Catherine with a C. After drinking a little too much, Vincent brings Catherine home. This sets the stage for a bizarre but compelling story in which every action you choose affects the outcome of the story. This game is largely story-driven, although the story is interspersed with gameplay taking place in Vincent's dreams that resembles a puzzle platformer of sorts, in which Vincent has to move blocks around to get to the top of the tower, which completes the level. But the farther Vincent gets, the more menacing the enemies get. This game is a bizarre, but intriguing tale to say the least.
I made it!
Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones. With Sacred Stones being yet another Fire Emblem game released for the Game Boy, it made their fans very happy. Instead of sitting at home on your NES or Super Nintendo to play Fire Emblem, you can now carry your Fire Emblem game in your pocket with its release for Game Boy. This was amazing, especially for an RPG, because now you didn't have to be playing it on your console 24/7, and you could instead take Sacred Stones with you on road trips. Now for the gameplay. You had a choice throughout the game to continue going through the storyline or to face the many side missions along the way. These side missions were mainly good if you didn't have enough weapons for your army, or you just needed more money in order to upgrade your weapons, or even if you needed more supplies, which were especially good for bosses that were coming up. What I really enjoy about the Fire Emblem series is how you plan out your strategy for each and every fight. Do you think having more archers will benefit you, or are you just going to power level your main character and destroy everyone? And it wasn't just your troops you had to plan out before attacking, but it was also each unit's inventory as well. How many weapons do you want on your troop? Do you give him just enough so you have some vulneraries as well? Or will your troop just camp beside your healing to take care of the damage that was dealt? This game, just like every game in the Fire Emblem franchise, is really fun, but can be challenging for beginners.
Mario Kart Double Dash. This game is more a masterpiece in the sense that it's provided hours upon hours of fun for me and my family over the years. The courses are absolutely timeless, no matter how many times you play them. Who wouldn't want to be shot from a cannon onto the top of a crumbling mountain for a race to the bottom? Or who wouldn't want to drive amongst dinosaurs in a race to the finish? But the best part of this game by far is the people you play with. From my dad going nuts whenever you hit him with a red shell, to my mom trying desperately to keep up with us but still having a great time, this game will create a lot of lasting memories.
The Red Dead Redemption, a gripping tale of the Wild West as you take control of John Marston, a bounty hunter out to take revenge on people from his past. The Red Dead Redemption featured a massive world with endless things to do. There are tons of weapons to collect, unique outfits to acquire, missions to do, places to discover, houses to purchase, horses to ride, and of course, games of poker to cheat at. The biggest selling point of this game to me is actually the incredible story. I'm going to go ahead and warn about spoilers now because, well, I'm about to talk about some. In the Red Dead Redemption, things don't really go your protagonist's way. In the end, good old John Marston has to sacrifice himself to save his wife and son, making one of the saddest deaths in video game history. John goes out guns blazing as you take your last stand, trying to take down as many people as you possibly can to give your loved ones just a chance to escape. This is not the very end of the game, however. Soon you resume playing as the son of John Marston years later as he goes out to avenge his father's death. One last duel before the end of the game, and it's seriously one of the most satisfying and well-written endings in gaming today. This game's weakness is actually also one of its biggest strengths, and, well, that's its size. While I love exploring giant worlds all over, don't get me wrong, they can get real tiring on missions where you have to travel a far distance only to fail and have to redo it. It takes it out of a gamer, like, for real. That being said, the Red Dead Redemption is a beautiful game that really captures the feeling of the Western genre.
Blitzball, yes! Best minigame in Final Fantasy, bar none. This is probably the last Final Fantasy that was any good, with all later installments leaving a lot to be desired. It changed things up and took away traditional leveling in place for a sphere grid that was so popular it has been emulated in many new video games, such as The Enchanted Cave and Path of Exile. The love story between the protagonist and heroine caught me by surprise and then broke my heart into a million pieces. Final Fantasy X is the only game that has ever made me lose it that way. Oh, I bawled my eyes out. If you can look past the awkward voice acting, this game will definitely provide you with many new adventures and friends to distract you from how bad your life sucks.
Pokemon Colosseum. Now, this is a Pokemon game I'm sure a lot of people were excited about on its release. I mean, being the first 3D Pokemon game with an actual story to come to the series, it had me, and probably many others, getting antsy. You play as the main protagonist Wes, alongside his sidekick Rui. Your job is to take down the infamous gang of Team Snag'em and Cypher. These gangs have closed the doors to Pokemon's hearts, and in doing so, they create Shadow Pokemon. This game was also very different to the other Pokemon games by making you engage in double battles all the time. Double battles create a lot more imagination when it comes to building your team in this game. Do you want to be like Dakeem and build an Earthquake Protect team? Or do you want to have a Pokemon that's sole purpose is to use Explosion? Jesus, man. But to obtain those Pokemon that you may have wanted on your team can be very difficult. You need to constantly remind yourself to save the game because if you miss a Shadow Pokemon and accidentally kill it, you will not be able to obtain that Shadow Pokemon again, making a 100% playthrough of this game excruciatingly painful. Another thing that is kind of annoying about this game is its after-game content. It makes you run around a lot and get ready to battle a ton of trainers. The last gripe I have about this game is its purification process. To return a Pokemon back to its normal state from being a Shadow Pokemon, you have to give it to the daycare, walk around with it, give it different colognes, or battle with it, and it can take a very long time. If you want to challenge yourself, you can try and beat Mount Battle in the main menu, not in story mode. The reason I say this is because if you do it in story mode, all you get for defeating 100 trainers is a time flute. If you do it in the main menu and you purified every Shadow Pokemon, then you could obtain the legendary Ho-Oh. Oh, by the way, did I mention the story? Because for a Pokemon game, the story was so damn good. Being a guy that was a former thief and a member of the Snag'em gang really made your character seem like a badass. Also, that endgame plot twist was absolutely nuts. I was blown away by it as a kid. Despite the bad parts of this game, I really wanted to see a game like this released for the Nintendo Wii U, but I guess we'll see where Pokemon will take us on the Nintendo NX.
Bayonetta. Bayonetta is just a brilliant game from the very talented Platinum Games. Platinum is basically the master of character action games at this point, and the one that stands a titan for them. a titan for them is the very enjoyable and sexy Bayonetta. The story of Bayonetta would take a while to explain, so I'll avoid that for now, but basically you take control of an insanely powerful female protagonist, Bayonetta. In this game, you have to fight off tons of unique enemies using various methods and weapons, just what you would expect from your standard character action game. What this game brings to the table that tons of character action games can't quite nail is the incredibly smooth and satisfying controls. Real gamers know the importance of good controls, and some might even argue that it's the most important thing in a game. One of the best things in Bayonetta is the enemies. There are so many enemies that you could point at and go, "That's metal as fuck," and I would agree with you. Bayonetta is indeed one of the baddest girls in gaming, and I absolutely love it. Of course, I can't forget Bayonetta 2, which came out on the Wii U and was equally as amazing. While it was close between the two of them, we ultimately decided to go with the original game. One thing that might bug you about this game is the overly sexualized female protagonist. Personally, I can't complain much, but I can see how at some points it might get old. Overall, if you haven't tried out Bayonetta, you should. It's easier than ever to get, as the version of Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U comes with Bayonetta 1 already on the disc. I urge character action game fans to check out this amazing title. Because, well, I might not agree with Bayonetta being in Smash Brothers, I really can't argue with those amazing, amazing games. Super Monkey Ball 2. There isn't much I can say bad about this game, except when I'm failing, in which case I can say tons. This game is one of the most rage-inducing games I've ever played, and honestly, I fucking love it. It's a very simple idea that's just executed really well. You play as one of 4 monkeys, and your objective is to roll your ball through the goal at the other end of each stage. This game is so difficult, I don't even know where to start. The main game, while incredibly cheesy and childish as far as stories go, the gameplay is just solid. Overall, the story mode, very fun, the multiplayer, even more fun than that. First, you pick which level of difficulty you want, and then each player takes a turn playing through the levels. First to get a game over loses. Tons of fun, very competitive, it's awesome. Then, you have these party games. These are like little mini games that work well with the fact that your characters are confined to a ball. Games like soccer and stuff. These, likewise, are really, really fun and competitive. This game as a whole is just a really solid product that is well-rounded almost everywhere. The game's main issue is how long the story drags on. Literally, you get cutscenes where the bad guy says this is his final base, only for you to have to beat like 5 final bases. Don't get me wrong, it's still fun, but eventually you desensitize to, "You've made it to my final base!" Hack got 'em. Personally, I'd recommend this game to anyone just wanting a good night with friends or a night to bond with somebody. Nothing brings gamers closer than a rage-filled game session. In fact, it's kind of how I became really, really good friends with Jeremy.
Hey, if you're watching this, that means you've made it to the end of the video. While you're here, why not check out the YouTube and Twitch channels that made this video possible? You can click on the respective photos to check them out, or if you're on your mobile device, their channel links will be down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.